Hey YouTube, it's me from Bam's Tactical again. Out on another run out in the middle of nowhere. Just me and nature. Just want to do my best thinking. Buddy told me, hey, you should call these segments Meanie Moles It Over. Alright, so here it is. Today's talk is about balances of power. So, I used to say, nothing's really bad for you as long as it's in moderation. Too much water can kill you, just as like too much sugar can kill you. So, balances of power, we see this in government, especially in America. The three branches of government, corporate, Hollywood, and the military. I'm just kidding, that's a That 70 Show reference. Really though, the legislature, the executive, and the judicial. And everybody puts so much emphasis on the president and what the president can do and what the president does. And people forget that really the most powerful arm, they're supposed to be equal, but the most powerful arm of the government is Congress. It is the legislative. They are the ones who can actually make laws, and the veto can come from the president, but they can go back and override the veto. So really, Congress is the most powerful form of government. And in Congress right now, we have people who have been part of government for half a century. I mean, think about that. They were around with the civil rights movement. I mean, some of these people have been in government that long. And you think that the reason we're having issues now is the president. It's not. But that's the macro, right? That's the big picture. We need balances of power between countries. We need balances of power within the countries. And then you can go all the way down to the micro, that your cells need the right balance of fluids and nutrients. So these balances of power you need to adopt in your everyday lifestyle. So right now I'm exercising. You need to find time to exercise in your life. Now, you can't be like those people like Arnold was back in the day, living in a van, working out all day. That's not a balance, right? You need to have a job. You need to be earning money. You need to be spending time with your family. You need to exercise. But the real balance of power that I wanted to talk about as we go into this fall. We need to balance each of our own lives while we reflect on what we just went through the last 6 months. All right, so 6 months ago was February 4th. All right, Trump hadn't even shut down travel to China yet. So think about how much has happened in the last 6 months. With the toilet paper shortage, the food shortage, the culling of animals because they were shutting down all the factories that processed the animals, just everything that's gone on the last 6 months, the protesting, the rioting, defunding of whole departments of cities and small government, them trying to impeach our president and everything in between. So here's the balance that you need to find in your life. Because if you're watching my channel, I assume that you know a little bit about prepping and prepping itself is a balance, right? The term that you hear a lot of people say is beans, bullets, and band-aids, right? So you need a balance. You need to have some food, you need to have some medical, and you need to have some way to defend your food and medical, right? I think each one is equally as important as the other, and each one both has a short-term and a long-term goals, right? Food can be as easy as buying some extra cans when you're at the grocery store, and as complex as raising your own food, both out of the ground and on the hoof. So, this balance of power, you need to base your decisions in your life on two things at the same time. One is the world can go tits up tomorrow, meaning no electricity, no food, no gas, you're on your own tomorrow. And we may never see any kind of major disaster that's any worse than what just happened the last 6 months, where people were really just worried about how to poop and wipe their butt. I mean, so we have to act like the world could end at any moment, but at the same time, that the world may never end. It may just keep on turning, and you get to die happily looking at your great-grandchildren play on your front porch. So, there's the philosophy behind it. What does that mean actionably? Well, that means that you need to not put your life on hold, right? You still need to live your life like a normal person. Get married, have kids, buy a house, you know, get a dog, all the American dream, you know, while at the same time preparing for hard times, buying some extra food, getting some firearms, getting trained with those firearms, you know, practice growing food, even if it's just a small garden or just in some pots in your backyard, practice growing food. Medical, keep some medical supplies in your house, get training on how to use medical supplies if you don't already. And then you need to practice those things. You know, start off with just one gun and a couple boxes of ammo and build up to what you think would be all that you would need. And that's different for every person. Both with food, medical, and firearms. For me, I hit a hard ceiling. I gave myself a hard ceiling. I said, this is where I'm going to stop, because if the world does not end, this is the most that I can go through without it spoiling, right? So the idea is with food, you know, this may not be enough food to last me forever, but it's enough food that if, you know, like me and my wife didn't go to a grocery store for 2 months and didn't even notice we still had food in our pantry. But you don't want too much food that you're throwing it out, right? Like I don't have more food than I will go through before it spoils. Same with guns. I don't need more guns than I would, you know, shoot through with the amount of ammo I have. You know, like guns go bad, you know, the barrels get shot out, things like that. So it's good to have backups and spare parts. But 100 guns and 100,000 rounds of ammo is only 1,000 rounds per gun. So be realistic. Like I said, I had a hard ceiling. When I hit it, I started rotating. So as I used it, I bought more to replace and moved it. You know, oldest stuff got used up next. And I just rotated through with medical, with food, and with guns and ammunition. And spent a lot of time to get to where I am. And my wife and I sat down and talked about, you know, do we need to increase that hard ceiling? And after these last 6 months, where, like I said, we went 2 months without even having to break into the MREs. So balance yourself. Don't freak out. All right. 8.5 minutes into this video, so I'm going to try to wrap it up here. So it's only about 10 minutes long. The reason I'm saying this is that I think you have about 1 month to 6 weeks to get what you need to go through another 6 months of hard times, potentially. I think we've got a lull right now through August and the beginning of September. Once school starts spinning back up, I think the media, whether real or not, is going to reattach themselves to this coronavirus thing. And when that fear goes back out there, the warehouses are basically empty right now. It doesn't mean we're not producing. It doesn't mean that we don't have food on the shelves in the stores. It means we don't have the backup supply that we had 6 months ago as a country. So if there's another run on stores, they won't just get refilled the next day. So use these next 4 to 6 weeks of lull, these next few paychecks. You know, don't put yourself in debt. Don't freak out. Don't start stacking food to the rafters and living, you know, under a rock. But look at how much what you needed these last 6 months, what was hard to find, and go get it now. while it's on the shelf. And like I said, you have to have a balance here. Don't freak out. Don't go spend $10,000 on survival food and stuff like that. But at the same time, don't think that because right now things are easy, that they're going to stay easy. I fully believe that here in September, the media is going to kick up a fuss about the coronavirus. That'll last another month or two, and then we got the election. And the good, the bad, and the ugly are all going to come out in November. I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on in New York right now. They still haven't finished counting all of their ballots, and it's been like 6 weeks or something, the mail-in ballots. I don't think we will know who the president is the night of the election. I think this is going to drag on for a couple of weeks, and whether Biden wins, Trump wins, or hell, if Joe wins, I don't think all of America is going to accept it. And just because the rioting isn't where you are, right? If you live out in the middle of nowhere, they may not be rioting where you are. The supply chain that goes through these major cities on these interstates, the supply chain that needs the workers in the factories that's getting shut down because of COVID, that supply chain is what gets you food to where you live. So even if things are calm there, it doesn't make it easy when the world is burning. So use the next 4 to 6 weeks, stock up. Don't overpay for things. Shop around, you've got time. Then get ready to hunker down as basically a forced shutdown comes in September, and then you'll probably voluntarily shut yourself down in November when the crazies come out. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave any comments you have below, and just let me know if this is something y'all want to keep seeing. Thanks.